welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. I am Hannah Stinson. For those of you who may have never met me before, I am the founder of Healing with Hannah, and I am a divine healer, a spiritual life coach, and of course, a yoga teacher, which is why we're here to do some yoga today. This is a full moon yoga class, but it can really be done at any time. We're really focusing on releasing tension stored in the body. Full moons are known for bringing up a lot of emotions and really want to make sure we're not allowing those emotions to manifest in our body. So we're going to work through them. We're going to move at a moderate pace. We're going to start with a little bit, going a little slow, building up the pace, and then slowing back down for the last half hour of class. We're really going to get into the hips. Because that's where we store a lot of tension, especially for those of us who are women or who identify as being a woman. And so if at any point anything just doesn't feel right for your body, listen to your body, okay? I always like to say, bring the yoga practice to your body and not your body to the yoga practice. So if I'm doing something and you're like, nope, Hannah, I can't do that, does not feel good. Of course, I'm going to cue modifications, but you can also just go lie down in Shavasana, corpse pose, right on your back, arms spread out, legs out, or in child's pose. And we're going to actually start in child's pose today. So I just want to say that if anything comes up, whether it's physical pain or tension or emotional pain or tension and you need support, you can always reach out to me afterwards or, talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist, talk to your counselor, really lean on your support systems because of course, none of this is medical advice, but yoga is very healing. I've been practicing yoga for 12 years and it has changed my life. So I feel very honored to be sharing this practice with you all. So let's get started in child's pose. I'm going to meet you on the mat. So in child's pose, you can decide today, do you want to stretch your low back? If your low back is feeling sore, have your legs closer together. If you want to get into your hips, have your knees as wide as your mat, okay? And we're having our butt sit close down to our heels. Of course, if that feels far away, grab a couch cushion, stick it under your butt. It's going to kind of give you some support. Otherwise, we're just going to begin by walking ourselves forward. Our hands come out in front of us, and we're going to slowly bring our foreheads to the mat. Now, of course, if that feels far away, this is why we have our blocks, our props. You can always put a block or a book in front of you and have your forehead resting on that. If that feels like a little too hard, then just grab a couch cushion, grab a pillow from your bed, and that will work just as great, or a rolled up blanket. So starting in child's pose, just begin by focusing on your breath. Focusing on your inhales and exhales, not forcing anything, just allowing yourself to come into this pose and be conscious of your breath. Your breath is your anchor. It is always with you. And if anything starts to feel like too much, there's emotions coming up, just come back to your breath. Focus on those inhales and exhales. And as we breathe here together in our child's pose, I invite you on the exhales to open your mouth and sigh out the mouth. Let it go. Let your exhales help you sink deeper into your child's pose. inhale, we're going to turn our heads towards the right. And we're going to thread that left arm underneath the right, coming into this thread the needle child's pose hybrid. And if you can, have your left ear, left side of your head resting on the mat. As we stretch into our shoulders now, as well as, of course, our low back and our hips. Now you can keep your right arm overhead, or maybe on your next inhale, you lift that right arm high to the sky. And you can stay there. Or maybe you come into a bind so that right hand is reaching for your left hip crease. And of course, you don't need to do this. This is just an option. If you had that bind, slowly release on your next exhale. Right arm coming back out in front. Exhale, left arm comes back out in front. Just take a breath in your child's pose. And then we'll do the other side. So right arm threads underneath the left, right ear or side of the head to the mat. And then again, if you lifted that arm on the other side, next inhale, lift that left arm high to the sky. And if you took that bind, let's keep things even and take that bind again. Beautiful. On that next exhale, release that left hand, bring that left arm back in front of you. Right arm comes back in front. One breath in child's pose. And then slowly come up into a tabletop position. There's no need to rush. We're moving slow. Coming into your tabletop, make sure your wrists are directly under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. And we're just going to warm up the wrist joints a little bit by moving a little bit forward. Shoulders come over the fingertips almost, and then moving back. We just want to do this so that we don't injure ourselves. Sometimes we feel like we put a lot of pressure or weight into our wrists or our hands, so we just want to warm up the joints. Another thing that I like to always share in my classes is we want to kind of have what are known as spider fingers. So when your hands are on the mat, you want to have your fingers spread as wide apart as possible. That's going to evenly distribute your weight, so it's not all happening in your wrist. And then you almost want to feel like you're gripping the mat away. It's like our spider fingers. Our hands kind of look like spiders. And that, again, is going to evenly distribute your weight, so you're not dumping into your wrists, which will cause injuries in the long run, and we don't want that. So I just wanted to note that for everybody. Okay, coming into a neutral spine, we're going to do a couple cat-cows. So just allow your belly to drop on the inhale, gazing forward, coming into your cow. And on your exhale, begin to round the spine, chin to chest, cat. Inhale, belly will drop, gaze comes forward. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest. We're going to do 5 more like that. On your own, I want you to follow your breath. Let your breath be your guide. And you can move as slow or as fast that feels good for your body, as long as your breath is guiding you between your cat and your cow. Beautiful. Coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to tuck those toes and begin to lift our hips, coming into a downward dog with bent knees. So I just want to note something. When we're in downward dog, sometimes we really want our legs to be straight, and that causes us to kind of come forward with our torso, and this is not going to do us any good. So when we bend our knees, push our weight back so we can have a flat line from our hands all the way to our hips. We're actually coming into proper alignment, and we're making sure we're not going to have any injuries. So in your down dog here, begin to pedal out your dog. Have your right heel come to the mat, left heel lifts, and then just switch. Just kind of warming up those hamstrings. They might feel a little tight. That's totally normal. And coming to stillness in your down dog for a breath. And then coming down to tabletop on your next inhale. Exhale, come back to a child's pose. Take 2 breaths. Inhale, come back to tabletop. Tuck those toes. Exhale, downward dog. Hold for 2 breaths. Beautiful. Coming down to tabletop. Exhaling back to child's pose again. Hold for 2 breaths. Inhale, come back to your tabletop, tuck those toes, exhale, down dog, hold for 2 breaths. On your next inhale, come back to tabletop, exhale back to child's pose, hold for 2 breaths. And then inhale, back to your tabletop, exhale to your down dog. And then we're going to look forward, and we're going to slowly walk our feet towards our hands. If you really need to bend your knees for this, that's okay. And if anything, have your knees super bent, so your torso is kind of resting on your thighs. You don't have to have straight legs here unless that's in your practice, but we're just letting our head and neck hang heavy, coming into a forward fold, releasing any tension in the low back. You can keep your hands on the mat, or maybe you use a book or a block to help you. Otherwise, if you want, you can come into ragdoll. So our hands are grabbing for opposite elbows. You're just kind of swaying very gently, very slowly from side to side. And coming back to stillness. On your next inhale, slowly come to stand. Head comes up last. Take a breath in your mountain pose into Tadasana. And just check in, make sure your feet are hip width apart. That's going to be the proper alignment for your body. Palms are facing forward, shoulders are back. We're engaging our core here. Beautiful. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward with bent knees, hinging at the hips. Hands are going to come to the mat, and we're going to step that right foot back, right knee comes to the mat. We're coming into a low lunge. So I just want you to check, make sure you have 2 right angles happening with your legs, engaging our low belly, and then inhale, arms overhead. This low lunge can sometimes look like we're not doing any work, but this can be a lot of work. So make sure you're engaging your inner thighs, as well as your core. It's going to keep you stable. And if you're wiggling or wobbling, that's totally okay. If you fall out of anything, just come back into it. Yoga is a practice. Nothing has to be perfect. Beautiful. Bringing your hands back down to the mat. This might be a good time to have your blocks or your books if the mat feels far away. I have very long arms, so usually I don't have a problem with this, but we're going to inch that right heel forward. So now, or sorry, the left heel forward. So the left leg is now straight. This can be a lot, okay? This can be a lot for our hamstrings, our groin, our hips. So honor your body. If you're here and you're like, this is where I'm staying, I don't want to go any further, that is okay. Otherwise, if you have the flexibility or this is in your practice, walk your hands a little bit forward and maybe fold forward. Again, this could feel pretty intense, so if you need to bend that left knee a little bit, that's okay. Beautiful. Now coming up and out, if you have walked yourself forward, we're gonna bring that left foot back in closer how we had it in our low lunge. And now you're gonna let your left knee just track a little bit forward over your left toes. We're coming into a low runner's lunge now. So we're kind of sinking deeper into our hips are coming forward, but we're really still engaging our glutes and our belly. We're not dumping, okay? We want to prevent injury. We want to stay strong. So you can decide, you can have your hands on your hips. You can bring your hands to your left thigh to help support you. Or maybe inhale, arms come overhead, hands come together, bending at the elbows. And really allowing your chest to shine forward. Beautiful. Exhale, hands come back to the mat. We're gonna step back into plank pose. So tuck those back toes, step back into plank. If plank feels like too much, drop those knees, that's okay. We're gonna come down through chaturanga, so we'll do a supported one first. So let's all have our knees on the mat. You're gonna shift your weight a little bit forward, and then use the strength of your arms the best you can to come down slowly to the belly. Inhale, coming into Sphinx pose. So we're on our forearms, and we're imagining our shoulder blades are squeezing together. Make sure you're still engaging your legs and your glutes to protect your low back as we are in a little bit of a back bend. Beautiful. Exhale, come down. Bring your hands back under your shoulders. Come into a tabletop. Maybe grab a sip of water. And then we're going to meet in downward dog once again. Beautiful. So we're in downward dog. We're going to look forward. We're going to bring that right foot in between the hands. So maybe you need to walk your right foot there. That's okay. You don't need to lift it high in the air and step it through unless that's part of your practice. So we're coming in to our low lunge on the other side. Arms come up overhead, engaging our bellies, engaging the inner thighs. And just coming back to the breath. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Grab your blocks or your books if you need, or your soup cans. And heel toe, that right foot forward so that right leg comes into a straight line. Now, bend that right knee a little bit if you need to So your hamstring doesn't feel like, you know, it hurts or anything. We don't want that. And then either staying up here, or if you did it on the other side, you walk yourself a little bit forward and exhale, begin to fold towards that right leg. Letting your head and neck just hang heavy. They don't have to do any work. And no matter where you are with this pose, focusing on your breath, maybe taking those sighs out the mouth on the exhale. Beautiful. Inhale, slowly walk yourself back up and bring that right foot back in, coming into that low lunge again. Now just letting that right knee track a little bit forward so it's kind of over the right toes. Letting your hips sink down, still engaging those glutes, protecting your low back. And then deciding maybe your arms or your hands, sorry, are on your hips. Maybe they're resting on your right thigh. Maybe you're inhaling, arms overhead, palms come together, bending at the elbows, and letting your chest shine forward. With each inhale, we're imagining that our ribs are coming away from our hips, and of course, we're just imagining that. We're not actually doing that with our physical bodies, but it helps to create space. And with each exhale, maybe you're sinking a little bit deeper into your hips. Beautiful. Exhale, hands come to mat. We're going to step back into plank, so tuck those back toes, step back to plank. And again, you decide, you can bring your knees down, shift forward, come down to the belly. Or if you know what a chaturanga is, come down slowly with control all the way to the belly. Again, we're coming into Sphinx pose, forearms to the mat. And this time, I want you to gaze down in between your hands. Give your head and neck a break. Make sure you're still engaging your glutes and your legs, protecting our low back. Beautiful. Exhale, coming down. Hands come back underneath the shoulders. Push back to tabletop. Take a sip of water, and we'll meet in downward dog. Okay. Meeting in down dog. We're coming into a three-legged dog. We're lifting our right leg high to the sky, with keeping our hips square. If your leg only lifts a couple inches off the mat, that is beautiful. That is perfect. You don't have to have your leg super high. Go to your edge. And then look forward, and we're going to step that right foot outside of the right hand. And again, maybe you need to kind of have your foot step forward on the mat. That's okay. Have your blocks, your books, your soup cans, your pillows, whatever your props are nearby. We're in a lizard lunge. So maybe the ground feels far away, that's okay. Have your prop for your hands to rest on. I'm going to give you a couple options for your lizard here. So either stay exactly as you are, okay? Or left hand stays on the mat, right arm reaches forward, up, and around. And it's like we're reaching for our back foot. Coming into this twist here in this lizard lunge. You can let your left hip sink deeper down to the mat, come deeper into your twist. If you were in that twist, exhale, right hand comes back to the mat. We're gonna stay here for about 5 breaths. So I want you to decide, you can stay up. Maybe you wanna come a bit deeper, but you need a prop, that's okay. You can have your prop, bring your forearms down. Maybe you have really open hips, so you can bring your forearms to the mat. Wherever you are, let your head and neck hang heavy. You don't have to do any work here. And just breathe into this pose. It can feel like a lot, but the deeper the breath, the easier we'll be able to release anything that is stored in our hips. Stress, tension, pain, fear, doubt, uncertainty. All of these emotions can manifest in our hips. Beautiful. Coming up and out. You're gonna tuck those back toes, so those left toes. You're gonna step back to plank. And you're just gonna shift your hips back up to downward dog. Take a breath in your down dog. Breathing in through the nose. Open the mouth. Sigh it out. 2 more like that. Inhale through the nose. Open the mouth. Last one. Beautiful. Now again, we're coming into 3-legged down dog on the other side. Left leg lifts. Remember, you go to your edge. You don't have to have your legs super high unless that's in your practice. And then looking forward, stepping that left foot or walking it to the outside of your left hand. Right knee comes down to the mat. Coming into lizard lunge on the other side. Now again, use those props. That's why we have them with us. And now you either stay here or same as the other side, but this time right hand stays on the mat. Inhale that left arm forward, up and around. And it's like that left hand is reaching back for that foot. Maybe you want to take it a little further and let those right hips sink down to the mat, coming deeper into your twist. On your next exhale, bring that left hand back to the mat. We're going to sink down into our lizard, wherever feels good for you. If you're working with props and you want to come a bit deeper, you can have your forearms resting on the prop. But if you're up here and you need a prop to stay even higher, that's okay too. Do what feels good for your body. And we'll hold this for about 5 breaths. And this side might feel a little different than the other side. That is normal. We are not even on both sides, right? One side might feel tighter than the other. So just work with where you're at. And then we'll come up and out, tucking those back toes, stepping back into plank, take a breath, and then come back to your down dog, shifting your hips up and back, taking a breath. Now we're going to step our feet together so they're touching. We're going to inhale the right leg high to the sky, opening up the hips. This time I invite you to go as high as you can go. Honor your body though. If you wiggle or you're feeling out of balance, bring your leg a little lower. Bend that right knee. Look under the left shoulder, or armpit I should say, and say hello to your foot. You should be able to see it. And then inhale, looking forward. We're going to step that right foot to the front of the mat. Drop that left knee down. And we're coming into pigeon pose. So I'm going to show you pigeon. And then if you're like, Hannah, this does not feel good for my body, I'm going to give you another option that's going to be just as good. So what you're doing now is you're walking that right foot over to the left side of the mat. So your right foot is behind your left hand. Your right knee is behind your right hand, okay? This is pigeon. This can be a lot. If you're not able to come into this pose because you have tight hips, no, that is totally normal. So I'm gonna give you another option. If you can do pigeon, just stay there for 1 second. Otherwise, you're gonna come to figure 4 on your back, okay? So your knees are bent, and your right leg is gonna cross over your left. And then you're going to either stay here if you feel the stretch, or you're gonna lift that left foot off the mat, reach for your left shin, and kind of just hold yourself here. You're gonna get the same stretch. So you're either doing figure 4 or you're doing pigeon. Just honor your body. And you can also, if you're in pigeon, put a pillow underneath of your butt. That's gonna help support you. Now, you can stay upright in your pigeon, or you can come forward, coming into a sleeping pigeon, resting on your forearms. Or maybe coming all the way down, forehead rests on the mat. If you're in your sleeping pigeon, slowly come up and out. If you're in your figure 4, you can release that right leg. And if you're in your figure 4, you're on your back, just stay there, and then I'll cue the other side in a moment. But if you're in your pigeon, tuck those back toes. Lift that leg, coming back into your 3-legged down dog, and then just bringing your leg or your foot back down to the mat in whatever way feels good. Maybe pedaling out your down dog. And then we're coming into 3-legged dog on the other side. So bring your feet together. Inhale, left leg is gonna lift high to the sky, open that hip. Bend that left knee, look under your right armpit. Say hello to your left foot, And then inhale, looking forward, stepping that left foot in between your hands. Right knee comes to the mat. And then heel toeing that left foot over to come into pigeon on the other side. Again, if you're in figure 4, now your left leg is crossing over your right. And no matter where you are, move slow. There's no need to push yourself or rush into the pose. We want to move slow to let our bodies know that they're safe to do these postures that we might not be used to. If you're in your pigeon, you can come down to your forearms. Come into your sleeping pigeon. Or come even further, forehead resting on the mat. You are in your sleeping pigeon. Slowly come up and out. Tuck those back toes. Come back up into your 3-leg down dog. Stretch out that left leg and bring it back to the mat. Take a breath in your down dog. And of course, if you're in figure 4, you can release that leg. Take a breath just on your back. And then come down. If you're in your down dog, come to tabletop. And if you're on your back, meet us in a seated position. Take a sip of water. Beautiful. Okay, so that was a little bit more dynamic. Now we're gonna really slow it down and do some more stretching, relaxing postures. So your feet are gonna be as wide as your mat. I'm just facing you so it's a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. Hands are coming behind you, kind of supporting you. Super simple, we're just gonna knock the knees from side to side, kind of windshield wiper the legs. I like to think of them as. We're just getting into the hips once again. And I just want you to move really slow as we do this. Beautiful. Now coming up, we're gonna challenge ourselves a little bit. You're gonna bring your hands together in front of you. Your elbows are about as in line with your shoulders. We're doing the exact same things with our legs, but we're not using our arms to support us. We're really mobilizing the hips here. So always move slow when doing this, because maybe it's a little bit like, whoo, it's a little bit hard. That's okay. I find that digging my heels into the mat helps, so I'm not constantly inching forward, but that also can happen, and that's okay. Next time you're on your left side, we're gonna stay there, and we're just gonna twist. So the right hand is coming outside of the left thigh, left arm and left hand is behind, and we're just gently twisting to the left. Beautiful, coming up and out. We're not using our hands. We're using just the strength of our lower body to switch over, and now twisting to the right side or the other side. Beautiful. Coming up and out. You need to move yourself back a little bit. That's okay. Always inch forward on that one. So we're going to come into another stretch for our hips. This can be a lot, so I want you to move slow. I'm going to give options. So you're going to thread your right leg underneath your left. The left comes on top. It's almost like our knees are stacking on one another. Our legs are out to the side. If you're like, whoa, this does not feel good, have that right leg extended, okay? That's gonna ease up this posture a little bit because it can be a lot for our piriformis muscles and our outer hips. But either way, I want you to close your eyes. Bring your hands over your heart. And just breathe into this posture. You can stay exactly as you are, or maybe you have your hands come in front of you and you start to walk your hands forward. This is going to intensify the stretch. So just do what feels good for your body. If you're walking yourself forward, go to your edge. And your edge would be that place where you feel the stretch, but you can still breathe. Okay, I want to make sure we're all still breathing. If you notice yourself like tightening your breath, that's just your body's way of saying, ease back a little bit. Just gone a little bit too far. That's the power of our breath. Wherever you are, close down the eyes and focus on your breath. Beautiful. If you walk yourself forward, slowly walk yourself back. Bring your hands behind you. We're going to release the legs. And we're going to just windshield wiper the legs from side to side a couple times. Releasing any tension after that. And then coming back with your feet on the mat and your knees bent. And now the left leg is going to thread underneath the right on top. And again, if the knee stacking is too much, left leg is going to be extended in front of you. But again, wherever you are, closing down the eyes, bringing your hands over your heart, and taking a few deep breaths into your heart space, into Anahata, your heart chakra. And then staying exactly as you are, or the option to walk yourself forward, hands come in front of you, and begin walking yourself to that edge where you feel that stretch, where you can also still breathe with ease. If you walk yourself forward, have your head and neck hanging heavy, you don't have to do any work. And then beautiful, slowly walking yourself back. You were walking forward. Bringing your hands behind you. Release those legs. And again, just windshield the legs from side to side. Releasing that. Now we're going to come into a butterfly position. So legs are in a diamond shape. Your feet are touching. And you don't have to have your feet really close to your butt here. You don't have to be in this like really small diamond. If anything, I invite you to have a big diamond with your legs. This is a good time to have a prop nearby if you want. You can place it in between your legs. We're going to fold forward. So again, if your diamond is bigger than that prop, that hook, that block, you can kind of act who you need to. So let your head rest. If you don't have props that can support you in that way, do not worry at all. We're just going to hold the feet. You're holding the arches of your feet, and you're holding them almost like you're opening a book, okay? And you're just going to take a breath, and then begin to fold forward. And I'm just going to turn for a second, because I want you to decide what feels good for you today. Maybe you want to stay active in this, which is when we're folding forward with a flat back, because you can see that I'm not really rounding my spine. You want to be more passive, round your spine, and then either one is great, so you choose what feels good for you. So we're going to hold this for about 10 breaths, so I want you to do whatever feels comfortable, and that you know you can hold it with ease. Let your head and neck hang heavy. Have them resting on a prop if you want. coming up and out on your next inhale. Take one last sip of water. Now we're going to knee down on our back. So soles of the feet are on the mat. Have your knees bent if you need some help getting down onto the back. And then I want you to bring your feet as close to your butt as possible. Knees are bent, soles of the feet are on the mat. A way that you can check to see if you're in alignment is have your arms long and your fingertips should be able to tickle the backs of your heels. Okay? We're going to come into a bridge really slowly. So on your next inhale, begin to lift your hips high to the sky. We're engaging our inner thighs and our glutes. Your gaze stays towards the ceiling or the sky. Holding for a couple breaths. Beautiful. Exhale, coming down slowly. Your butt comes down last. You come down vertebra by vertebra. Beautiful. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, lifting those hips high to the sky. Engaging the inner thighs and the glutes. Exhale, slowly come back down. Last one, inhale, lifting the hips high to the sky. And this time you can begin to roll onto your shoulders if that feels accessible. It's going to just bring your chest up a little bit and maybe interlace your fingers together. This is going to make the posture a little bit more intense. So only do this if you have it in your practice or your body feels open. And then let go of your hands if they were intertwined. Release those shoulders, slowly coming back down. Upper back, mid back, low back, and then your butt. Beautiful. Now I know some of you might have already done figure 4, but we're just gonna kind of do that again, but we're going to cross first the right leg over the left. We're not gonna reach for the shin. We're just gonna let our legs fall towards the left. Okay, we're coming into a twist now, a supine twist. So I'm just moving my props out of the way. Bring your arms into a cactus position. So you're bending at the elbows, your palms are facing up, arms towards your face. We're just doing this to keep our chest open here. And then just gaze over your right shoulder. Close down the eyes. Just focus on your breath. On your next inhale, your head will come back to center, and then your legs come back up. Release that right leg so the right foot comes back down to the mat. And then just crossing now the left leg over the right, or the other side if you did the opposite. And let your legs fall towards the right. Keeping your arms in this cactus position. We want to keep our chest open. And then let your head fall towards the left, just gazing over your left shoulder. Maybe closing down the eyes. And just coming back to your breath. On your next inhale, head will come back to center, lifting those legs back up, releasing the left leg, sole of the left foot comes down to the mat. Now we're just gonna bring our legs in towards our chest, kind of like we're giving ourselves a hug, and just begin to rock from side to side. Just giving your low back and your sacrum a little bit of a massage. And then you can bring your knees a little bit wider, almost as if they're coming towards your armpits. And you can stay here in this wide leg, kind of like a half happy baby. Or you can come into a full happy baby, where your feet are coming up towards the sky and you're grabbing the outsides of your feet with your hands. And you're just kind of rocking side to side. If that feels good, you can also stay still. If you're in your half happy baby or your full happy baby, I invite you to bring a soft smile to your face. After all, we're happy babies. Coming to stillness just for 2 breaths here. And then releasing that, whether it was your full or half happy baby, giving yourself one big final hug. And then exhaling into your Shavasana, your corpse pose. Legs are long, feet are as wide as the mat, and your arms are wide enough that your armpits can breathe here. And you're just coming into your Shavasana now. And just notice the parts of your body that are touching the floor, that are touching the earth. Slowing down the breath. And just allowing yourself to soak up all of the benefits from today's practice. Giving yourself permission to be in stillness. And to appreciate yourself. Have gratitude for yourself for showing up for today's yoga class. Working with the energies of the full moon to release and restore. Now I invite you to stay here. We're going to stay here for about 10, 15 more breaths. But I'm just going to play my sound bowl as you sink deeper into your Shavasana. Just again, to really harmonize all of the energy that we have cultivated in our practice today. Slowly begin to bring small movements to your fingers and your toes, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe rolling out your wrists and your ankles. Take a big stretch, bringing your legs together, your arms together overhead. Taking a big stretch on your inhale and release on your exhale. Bend those knees so the soles of your feet come to the mat. Arms are still overhead, so as you roll over onto one side, you can use your bottom arm as a pillow as you just take a breath in this fetal position. And then slowly bring yourself up to a seated position, doing your best to keep your eyes closed if you can. And then coming to your seated position, bringing your hands to prayer, Anjali Mudra in front of your heart center, bowing your head. The divine light in me honors the divine light in each and every one of you. Namaste. You can blink your eyes open. And there we go. Thank you so much. I hope that was okay for everyone.
Some parts were a little hard for me, but we made it work. But thank you so much for sharing your practice with us.
You're welcome. And thank you, Tracy, for that feedback. I'll keep that in mind for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be sending the replay, and next week, Wednesday, is our Yoga Nidra. And Yoga Nidra is a type of meditation. So it will be very, very relaxing. It's a little later in the evening for some of us, just because it's something that I like to teach before bed or before you're winding down. So thank you again. I really appreciate you all being here, and I will see you soon.